In Chapter 4, we're going to study matrices. Matrices is the plural of the word matrix. So what is a matrix? Well, a matrix organizes data, in our case, numbers, into rows and columns. Think of a matrix like a table. If I take the system of equations, 2x plus 3y equals 7, and x minus 4y equals 8, and I eliminate all the variables, all the operations, and all the equal signs, and I have just the numbers, I can turn this system of equations into a matrix. The 2 for the coefficient of 2x is just a 2 in my matrix. The plus sign I can ignore. The equal sign goes away. In the next row, the coefficient of this x is 1. My minus sign goes into this 4 and becomes a negative 4. The equal sign goes away and I'm left with just an 8. When we look at a matrix, we have to be able to identify the dimensions of a matrix. The dimensions are always rows first, columns second. Since we organized our numbers into a table, we have to be able to identify the number of rows and the number of columns. Our rows go horizontal, and our columns are vertical. The way I remember the difference between rows and columns is I always think of columns like the Colosseum in Rome. The Colosseum had a bunch of vertical pillars, so columns are vertical. So when I look at this matrix, I have 2 rows, and 3 columns. So the dimensions of this matrix are 2 by 3. Now each number in that matrix is an entry in the matrix, and each entry has a particular spot in the matrix. So if I call this matrix A, then entry A subscript 1, 2 is the entry A in my A matrix in the first row, second column. So if I look in my first row and my second column, I have the number 3. If I have entry 2, 3, it's A for the A matrix, row 2, column 3. So I look at row 1, 2, and column 1, 2, 3. So 8 is my entry A subscript 2, 3. Matrix addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction are pretty straightforward in the matrix world. The one thing that you have to notice is that the matrices must have the same dimensions. So I need to look at these two matrices and find the dimensions. In this first matrix, I have 1, 2, 3 rows and 1, 2 columns. Rows by columns. And in my second matrix, I have 1, 2, 3 rows, 1, 2 columns. Since both of these are the same, I can perform addition or subtraction. In this case, I'm going to perform subtraction. So to subtract these two matrices, I need to subtract the corresponding entries. This entry, 1, is in the upper left corner. So I'm going to subtract the entry in the upper left corner of my second matrix. So 1 minus negative 1 is going to go into the first entry of my matrix in my answer. The dimensions of my answer will be the same as my first two matrices. My answer is going to look like this. 3 minus 7 goes here. 2 minus 0 goes here. Negative 4 minus negative 2 is right here. 0 minus 5 is right here. 5 minus 3 is right here. Now I need to perform the operations. 1 minus negative 1 is 2. 3 minus 7, negative 4, and so on. Notice that my final answer has the same dimensions as my first two matrices. Addition will be performed the same way as subtraction, except for instead of subtracting my entries, I'm going to add my entries. Scalar multiplication in the matrix world. I'm going to scale every number in my matrix by an integer. So I'm going to scale everything in this matrix by 3. In reality, I'm taking my 2 by 2 matrix and I'm going to distribute this 3 to everything in my matrix. So I'm going to have 3 times 5 and 3 times 3 and 3 times 6 and 3 times negative 2. I'm going to perform those operations. Notice that my answer is the same as my original matrix. Last thing I need to cover is the order of operations. In the matrix world, the order of operations is even more important than in the integer world. If I have the problem 2 plus 3 times 7, I need to follow the order of operations exactly. Order of operations says do multiplication first. So I'm going to take 3 times 7 and get 21. Now, to this 21, I need to add 2. But notice the 2 is in front of the 3 times 7. So I need to keep the 2 plus out front. Many of you will try to just add 2 to the end of this, but I have to keep my problem written the way that it started. The 2 plus comes in front. It's 2 plus this answer. Now after that, I can take 2 plus 21 to get 23. Make sure that you're following the order of operations in the matrix world, or you won't get the correct answer.